Anytime we watch basketball, we naturally focus on the exciting things, like players flying off the ground for dunks, flashy, explosive crossovers. You know, the top 10 plays. But what about the landing from these moves? Just a quick half second, but it's where the vast majority of basketball injuries happen. And we say landing, but it's really about all types of deceleration. Stopping quickly on a dime, cutting on the way to the basket, and landing from any position in midair. And before any improvements in landing technique comes the strength to be able to absorb force, even in very demanding situations. Because if you land poorly over and over again, it will add up and probably result in injuries. So let's get into how to build this strength. First, it's always vital to prepare and activate your body the right way. Always activate your gluteus muscles, the most powerful muscles in your body, with banded walks, clamshells, as well as other movements, such as external rotations and single leg hip thrusts. Also, it's important to rev up your core with exercises like shoulder taps and some mobility work, which we'll get into in future episodes. Once your body is firing and ready, there are pretty specific protocols for training for force absorption, one of these being eccentric focused training. From our other videos, you may recall that an eccentric movement is one where the body is being loaded, the downward motion, so here as well as here. And if you're too weak in this eccentric phase, the proper movement mechanics will break down. Like Wade's knee caving in here, T-Mac's knee collapsing over his toe here, and again for Wade on the hop step.
Gets inside left hand.
This strengthening is mainly done through eccentric focused compound lifts, such as drop squats, where you quickly take your feet off the ground so that you absorb force mimicking a landing. As well as eccentric focused squats, either with a barbell or a dumbbell. As well as eccentric focused trap bar deadlifts, where again, the lowering portion should be about 3 seconds. We also want to train our bodies rapidly in this eccentric phase, with exercises like depth drops. Notice how soft the landings are, making contact with the midway part of the foot. Then, after a few weeks with just body weight, move up to a lightly loaded drop, like with this medicine ball. The glute max and the glute med are probably the two most important muscles for landing. So strengthening and activating both allows them to control the knee upon any landing. For the gluteus medius, which is on the side of your hip, clamshells and external rotations are great for this. For the glute max, again, the most powerful muscle in the body, any type of hip thrusts are very effective. Eccentric Romanian deadlifts are also great to include. These train the body for the perfect hip hinging movement, as well as eccentric hamstring strength, which is also important for deceleration. Next is unilateral, or single leg work. These exercises are so important because so much of deceleration is done on one leg. Stiff leg deceleration, jumping and landing on one foot, and even decelerating in order to jump off one foot. A player's dominant leg will almost always be stronger and have more wear and tear, which is much of why most players injure their dominant jumping leg. So, unilateral exercises will help balance out the two limbs. The single leg elevated pistol squat is especially important for single leg eccentric strength, especially in a higher, more straight leg range of motion. Look how closely Paul George's landing mimics this exercise. Here, you want to lower yourself very slowly, tap your foot on the ground, and then use your lower foot to get back up. Make sure the knee doesn't cave into what's called valgus though, because it's a very weak position for the knee. Watch how here, it's what causes Shumpert's ACL tear. Eccentric split squats are also great, especially for absorption in a deeper range of motion. Finally, lunges are a staple for horizontal deceleration. Notice how closely they resemble LeBron's cutting motion here. Also, we can't neglect the calf and the Achilles, which can absorb up to 50% of force upon landing. So the calf should be trained with straight knees, bent knees, and even rapidly with what we call pogo jumps. Finally, the core must be trained for stability. Basically, the core's job is to keep the spine, and so the whole body, stable even with outside forces applied. With a strong core, players like LaVine remain more stable in midair and can land in more convenient and easy positions. Now notice how Rose tilts in midair, making it way more difficult for him to land well. And while most of the main compound lifts, like deadlifts, squats, and more, are very effective in terms of bracing and strengthening the core, anti-rotation and rotational exercises, anti-flexion exercises, and anti-lateral flexion exercises should all be trained to help the body land conveniently. Remember, all of this should be part of a well-balanced program, and all exercises should be done with attention to perfect form rather than crazy weight or speed. Try some of these exercises out and let us know what you think. Also, stay tuned for many more installments in this Preventing Basketball Injury series.